changes and growth at Grand Valley State University are easily seen. So is the unusual and striking beauty of the campuses. From additions to new buildings, a footprint in brick and glass belongs to Vernon Ohlman, chairman of the board and senior designer at Design Plus.
I think Vern is one of the most interesting people I've ever known, because he really brings together the right brain and the left brain. He's a very creative person, but yet a very business-like person at the same time.
He takes the ideas that the client has and develops them so beautifully and comes up with a distinguished design.
Everyone who sees the Grand Valley campus for the first time, myself included, gets very excited about the beauty and I would use the word dignity of the space.
Ohlman began putting his mark on Grand Valley space back in the early 70s with the design of the Kirchhoff Center. Since beginning Design Plus in 1979, Ohlman has designed 40 building projects for Grand Valley. During the process, the designer became much more than that. He has continually worked with the teams from the university to create joint visions, and along the way, he has earned the respect and awe among those with whom he worked.
Each building result was unique, but it sort of formed the campus. All of a sudden we had, instead of having 5, 6 buildings in a cornfield, we had 100 buildings all fitting together, even though they're all different. His designs tended to respect its neighbor, and that I think is difficult to do. A lot of architects tend to want to create a statement to themselves, and he didn't do that. You drive through the Allendale campus and you see a campus. There's not one building that stands out, but you remember that the buildings were nice. And I think that's his success.
Ohlman's next project on the Allendale campus was the creation of the Padnos Center, Henry Hall, and Student Services Complex.
Vern has that wonderful genius of doing beautiful architecture, but in a way that's very functional and everybody's happy. You know, we hardly had a complaint after we moved into this building. People had been so involved in it and they were so pleased with the results. And we owe a lot of that to Vern and his team.
Two of the towering and ringing symbols of Grand Valley, the Carillon Towers, were designed by Ohlman. The Grand Rapids campus, DeVos Center, Secchi and Winter Halls, the parking ramp, all designed by Ohlman.
As you've designed a community, not just a building.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about it.
President Emeritus Lubbers says he and Ohlman worked together so often, they developed a sort of verbal shorthand.
Really, it reached the point where I didn't have to say much before he picked up exactly on what I wanted.
To like old married people.
It really was.
That this kind of a university setting really makes that connection with history and the past and with the hopes and dreams of the future.
This is footage taped during the planning stages of DeVos Center. Benefactor Richard DeVos joins Lubbers and Ohlman to check out the plans.
Well, I just think architects to be congratulated.
I agree.
All those who work with Ohlman say one word strongly and often: collaboration.
For instance, in the DeVos Center, which is quite recent, I remember saying to Vern, now Vern, we don't want a big city building here. We want a village or a town, something like a European village, and with some green space.
it's very hard to choose, but I think probably the DeVos Center in Grand Rapids would be the personal favorite because of the interesting variety of spaces that we had to deal with in the project. We have some very small, elegant spaces like the Gordon Gallery and the Regency Room, a large student atrium, which is often called a food court on some campuses, but is definitely a cut above the average food court on most university campuses. And a beautiful steel-cased library with stained glass windows that at sunset just take your breath away. And next to that steel-cased library, there's an automated library retrieval system, which is only the second one installed in a university in the country. And so there again, what we're trying to do is to bring together kind of the state-of-the-art with very attractive facilities.
People have been coming up to this area to receive health care for a century. And now we have one of the most magnificent centers for teaching and learning and further research.
Another state-of-the-art building reflecting the collaborative vision of Ohlman and Grand Valley's faculty and staff is the gleaming Center for Health Sciences.
I like so much working with him. He's so collaborative, and he guides and leads us when we work with him as a team to think in all kinds of new ways that we hadn't thought before.
The eye-catching addition to Michigan's Health Hill opened in the fall of 2003. The beauty inside is matched by the attention to detail and function.
I think Vern is a great student of people and organizations, and I think his architecture is better because of it. And I found him to be thoughtful and insightful about how people come together and can become more productive. And I think probably what I've learned the most is some of the subtle understandings about group interactions.
When people actually move into the building, faculty and staff, that because Vernon Design Plus have spent so much time listening to what our needs are, that those needs are met by the building so that people are comfortable in it, and the things that they need to do their job well are there.
And he did it all with the realities of a state and donor-created budget.
To express your thoughts, ideas, and convictions through architecture is a special gift. And when you combine that gift with common sense and financial knowledge, you are a real gem for your clients. And that is what Vern was.
He always had a rabbit in a hat to pull out, so that works out for us.
I'm thrilled that the board has granted Vern an honorary doctorate. I think it recognizes a lifetime of accomplishment in a variety of domains, but particularly here at Grand Valley, where his work has, in some sense, created part of our identity.
The honorary degree is most deserved. I think Grand Valley should be so proud of what he's helped us do. When I bring people here to tour, they just cannot get over how beautiful the place is and how much it fits what we're trying to do educationally.
The idea of creating spaces that have a permanence, spaces that will be useful and interesting and fun to be around in 100 years, I think we did. I think that's exactly what we did.
But in the last 10 years, Vern has been our architect, and he's been the one that has been the creative force behind so much of what we now take great pride in.
It is very seldom that a person who's not part of the faculty or staff of the university has an opportunity to have such an impact on that university. And Vern is one of the people who in our history has had a tremendous impact as someone who was never on the payroll.
His work and that of his colleagues have left such a mark on Grand Valley. They are a part of Grand Valley, so that it is appropriate that the university recognize this person who has been a leader helping to establish the identity of the institution.